in fighting the menace of corruption. I think I want to appeal to all Nigerians to support this effort. I could understand that in the past, a lot of investigation being conducted by EFCC. We have some wonderful people in the EFCC, but of course, you also have some bad eggs that corruption have not been able to be brought to bear where Nigeria can celebrate in the area of corruption. So I am happy to see that the new chairman of EFCC is doing everything to make sure that money stolen from the Nigerian people are returned back to our people so that we can use the money to develop our dear country, Nigeria. So, but until proven guilty, you are an innocent. Of course, like you rightly said, it's an alleged. When it is an alleged, it has to be proven in the court of law. But allow the EFCC to do their job without whipping sentiment or try to, not saying all kind of stuff that we are not supposed to say. We should allow them to do their job so that the end will justify the means. Enough is enough that Nigerians deserve the best. We are not there yet at all.
I'm very sure that you're also following reports of how, the forensic audit of the CBN under the previous governor allegedly uncovered some 593 bank accounts domiciled in the US, UK, and China, in which Nigerian funds were deposited without authorization from the Board and Investment Committee of the CBN. Just how damning do you think these allegations are? How endemic corruption is in our system, and what does this mean for our country's corruption perception index?
In every sector in this country, my dear brother, I was in the National Assembly at the time. I moved motion. I investigated corruption that had eaten us deeply in this country. And I got so much support, and I'm happy that the current Chief of Staff was the majority leader, while Dogara was the Speaker. They all supported me, and I can tell you what I was able to unearth with the support and help of the United States Congress and the U.S. Customs. So this corruption we are talking about, it didn't just started yesterday. It is an ongoing over the years that have derailed the will of progress of moving this country forward. And I've often said that Nigeria is not broke. So if they are saying about 500 and something bank account, yes, I can testify to that to the extent that even myself, with the U.S. report that they gave to us, especially to me, because I was the chairman of U.S.-Nigeria Parliamentary in the House of Rep. I was the chairman. And I have access to so many documents, that have to do with the way and means and manner that Nigeria has been ridiculed in the area of corruption. But we are still speaking about the issue up to now. I am surprised we have not yielded any fruit, but by the grace of God, and I believe I have so much confidence in this administration that Mr. President Tinubu will do justice. We must face the fact that corruption that has eaten us, we have no reason borrowing money. And Emefiele, unfortunately, as a Federal Commissioner Code of Conduct Bureau, we investigated him. All these things you are talking about, this happened to be in our privy over the years. But unfortunately, because of bureaucracy, we cannot fight it to logical conclusion. It just started yesterday that Emefiele, as a matter of fact, different bank account with the dubious means of creating wealth for their own selfish interest, not for the interest of the generality of Nigerian people. If you see the poverty in our dear nation, it's as a result of the corruption that has eaten us deeply. And I'm happy that, Mr. President, I've already hit the ground running, that nobody will be spared. No one will be spared. I am supporting Mr. President. I want all Nigerians to support Mr. President, President Buhari, that enough is enough.
Honorable,
we can't
when you
continue to live like this.
When you say that the the CCB investigated the former governor, what do you mean by bureaucracy? Was it that he wasn't invited, it didn't come, or did someone ask you to stop the investigation? Can you throw more light on that?
That's a story for another day, to be candid to you and to Nigerians, I lament for this nation, but lamentation will not yield any fruit or result, rather than being aggressive. But we must be able to be proactive, because we are a reactive nation. We must be proactive, put a preventive measure in place to contain and combat the menace of corruption. And that's what Mr. President is about to do, and that's what he's doing. I am saying, yes, we investigated the former governor of Central Bank, Mr. Emefiele. He cannot, and I can say this without missing words, he's one of those that I would say, unfortunately, we're in a country. If you had been that he's from somewhere like China or America, it probably would have been a different issue. But because of the Nigeria where we have found ourselves, that people will say, oh, he always told how much, leave him alone. Not only Emefiele, that the investigation that the Code of Conduct Bureau carried out, if we have followed it up, there's no reason Emefiele will be going back and forward to court, giving bail, and he should have been where he belongs. Because he derailed the will of progress of this country. He messed up this country. How can a governor, just because of one individual, change our currency? The currency was changed because of one particular individual, for his own selfish interest. Because of President Ahmed Tinubu, Emefiele decided to do everything to change the currency, in damaging, destroying the nation, where many Nigerians died in the course of all this. We can't continue like this.
Let's hope that we're going to see all these allegations, have a conclusive end, because at best there are allegations, and the man in question has been taken to court. But there are also reactions already trailing, the raiding of the Dangote Group headquarters yesterday by the EFCC. Some would say, the Dangote Group is perhaps Africa's largest conglomerate, and that it's troubling that the EFCC could deal with it with such show of force. What do you make of the school of thought that such tactics by the EFCC could discourage foreign investors from coming to Nigeria? Does that make sense to you?
You see, these are the things I always hear often from some of our Nigerian brothers and sisters. Oh, when you are investigating someone, you are depriving investors, foreign investors, from coming to Nigeria. Come on now. You are able to clean our house, making sure that our house is well cleaned of corruption. Those that are coming in, we understand and know for a fact, don't mess with Nigerian government. You must do the right thing. Just like an American. Today, everywhere, it is known for a fact that as an American, going to go and collect bribe, or China, to collect bribe, and if you are caught, you're going for it. There's reprisal, consequences, repercussion. You go in for indefinite, either by firing squad, by hanging, or sentenced for years imprisonment. But in Nigeria, how many people have we put in jail? Look at the Accountant General of recent. We investigated him for over 211 billion naira stolen. That's the same man that went to court, with Babariga. And that's the same man that has been given cheaters in title, Ikanu, as a hero. As a hero. Those who stole 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 are in jail. No. Something needs to be done. We can't continue to live like this. We cannot continue. This is totally wrong. Let the right thing be done. Allow the EFCC to do their job. Until proven guilty, you are innocent. It's an alleged. Let proper investigation be done. Let us not try to whip settlement. Oh, this is going to stop investors, foreign investors from coming to Nigeria. Come on now. That is nothing but cheap blackmail.
Honorable, it's hard to, determine whether or not the culture of blacklisting persons who have engaged in one corruption practice or the other has been well entrenched in Nigeria, because you see many people who even leave the courts or prisons to return to the society, well accepted, and even aspiring to, take leadership positions. But let's bring in an anti-corruption crusader into the mix of this conversation. He's chairman, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Header, Mr. Suraj Olanrewaju. Thank you for joining us on the program. So investigators, I believe you're following the conversation from the US, where you're joining us from, I suggest. Investigators, we understand, have in the past months accused the CBN of favoring and enriching some individuals and companies through what they call non-transparent allocation of foreign exchange to them. Do you think we have a track record in this country of seeing investigation of this nature through, especially when it considers, quote and unquote, the high and mighty?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this actually should be for us a welcome development. Unfortunately, because we've had reasons where these high-profile corporate persons and also even organizations escaping the hands of the law when it comes to the issue of corruption. And this really, like you said, unfortunately, we don't have this really track record of ensuring that the high-profile persons, really get to face the music as it pertains to the cases of corruption, high-profile corruption cases. And that is why you have quite a number of them even graduating from the National Assembly to become governors, and even some of them also coming back from governors to become ministers, and quite a number of them are even in the current government. Unfortunately, even the Senate president was accused of corrupt practices and even shunned the EFCC investigation, only to go around and become the Senate president. So what you have yesterday with a company like Dangote is actually a welcome development. It's unfortunate that we've seen where it is not just public office holders alone that are becoming too powerful for the law enforcement agencies to hold to account. But now you have, like I said earlier, corporate establishment. And this is not only just the worst form of impunity that you have in the system. It drives away competition in the system. It also drives away the opportunity to have the economy grow. What you have is a monopoly of only those companies that are favored by certain individuals that are in regulatory and also monitoring agencies within the system.
Indeed. You know that there's a lot of sensationalism that comes with investigation of this type, and we're used to it in Nigeria. A lot of headline, front page reports about an allegation of corruption, but eventually we don't see them through, and that speaks to why we have many people in government today who have had allegations of this type, but they were never convicted. So they will tell you that, that case did not see the light of the day. On the matter of Dangote, there's the FX concession that we've talked about over the years, and that's also one way to explain it, that big companies that provide employment for majority of Nigerians will definitely have some special treatment with the CBN. The question usually has been, what has happened to high-profile corruption cases in the past? Why do you think, we just hear the noise, but we don't see it to conclusion?
Yeah, it is actually not only about government alone or the law enforcement agencies. It is also about media and also the civil society. So we can also be accused of this collective amnesia. And that is why you have quite a number of those individuals and also companies getting away with the blue mother. So we tend to develop this nonchalant attitude to some of those cases. And like you said, we're more interested in just not even a conscious naming and shaming, that you can really appreciate by ensuring that the people who are named are then also publicly shamed. But what we do is just sensationalism to the extent that we only report the news. I saw one of the news reporter, which was reported yesterday, and there was a slant to that case where it was said, openly that, oh, this is one of those cases, and at the same time, as he was reporting as the EFCC visit was reported, the online media was also reporting to the extent of claiming that the corporate body, Dangote, was about taking documents to EFCC. I mean, the media house did not actually state when was the Dangote official invited, when was the invasion happening, so that you can actually tell if truly the documents were taken. So if it was outside the expiration period, and from reliable investigation by our organization, I mean, the invitation was extended almost 3 weeks before the invasion eventually happened. And what you have with this high-profile person is to make efforts within the period of that invitation to start reaching out to high influential persons to prevail on the anti-corruption agency or the leadership of the agency to ward off the invitation or also investigation attempt. So this is for us as civil society and media to ensure that we monitor many of the cases. I mean, for us at my organization, that also we have, we still currently operate what we call the high-profile corruption cases compendium, where we document on annual basis 100 cases of high-profile corruption cases and give updates to what has happened, how far the case has been going, for how long has it been in court, what are also the challenges delaying the effective and successful prosecution of the cases. So we must actually keep this kind of intervention and tracks to assist the people to understand and also tell these suspects that we are not going to forget, and also we're going to ensure that we also hold accountable the law enforcement agencies. So both the government, the suspects, and also the judicial system is held to account by our effective monitoring of those cases.
Absolutely. Let me bring Honorable Agbonaima back to this conversation. Honorable, what do you make of the capacity of our anti-graft agencies to effectively fight corruption? Take EFCC, for instance. The previous chairman was suspended last year, for what government calls weighty allegations of abuse of office. Almost every individual who's headed that agency was disgraced out of office. Usually with the same corruption allegations they were appointed to fight. Where does this leave the capacity of the agency to deliver?
Well, thank you for that wonderful question. Let me say this, that they all came in with good intention. Down the line, I guess, I don't know what happened. They now failed to adhere to the principle and the oath of defending the Federal Republic of Nigeria and defending Nigerian people. They fell by the wayside. My prayers is that those that are saddled with the responsibility of EFCC, ICPC, even Code of Conduct Bureau where I worked, we should do the needful and do the right thing to support Mr. President. Mr. President cannot do everything. Every Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians, have a role to play. Seeing a crime be committed, failure to report the scene of that crime to the nearest law enforcement agency, you are as guilty as the man or woman who committed that crime. So we are all obligated to join this force, to join Mr. President in winning the fight against corruption. That is the epidemic, that is the cancer that has eaten us deeply. And I'm praying that the new chairman EFCC, haven't read much of him, and some of my friends have told me how tenacious and commitment and his capacity to drive EFCC to the next step. My prayer is that Nigeria should be among the leading nations. It is possible, it is doable, it is achievable. If all of us collectively join hands with Mr. President to succeed, I am praying. That's my prayer. But I hope that we will understand that, look, we took an oath to uphold, to defend the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to fight this menace of corruption, because corruption is our major problem that has eaten us deeply. Nigeria is not broke. If I may recall and tell you, we were talking about Emefiele a while ago. Yes, bank accounts, different bank accounts that I have said before, in the United States, all over the world, billions of dollars in various accounts that are privileged to me, that I saw billions of dollars, not naira, Nigerians' money. Is it about the stamp duties issue that Nigeria is borrowing money against their own money? Emefiele created. Oh, for God's sake. When I see Mr. Emefiele, a Nigerian, could have that tenacity to be wicked, to be stubborn to your own country, to put your people in disarray for your own selfish gain. What shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What he did, not because he did it to ridicule or to make sure Mr. President Tinubu didn't win, but many lives lost. Nigeria died as a result of his action. So that his action, he should pay dearly for it. He should pay dearly for it. All this rigmarole, I'm sorry to say, let me finish. All this rigmarole and all those going back and forward, giving bail and all that, this is distraction of justice. Justice needs to be done.
I hear you, Honorable.
It's only Nigeria, people steal billions. They steal billions, they are being paraded as if they are heroes. There must be consequences.
That will speak to the need to create a system that will make it impossible for individuals to take advantage, of institutions and, and organizations like the CBN. For instance, why do you think we've not been able to operate a system that has the capacity to detect these corrupt practices and prosecute them in the lifespan of the suspect's tenure in office? Recently, the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was invited by the EFCC over alleged 37 billion naira fraud. Is it possible to probe these allegations while they're in office?
Let me tell you this, because you brought this matter up about the humanitarian. The former minister, we investigated her. Billions stolen from Nigerian people. Money meant for Nigeria wasn't disbursed. Code of Conduct Bureau did a wonderful job. Our team did excellent job, going from everywhere to monitor, to investigate. Our final report was harnessed. When you see and look, go back to it, you cry for this nation. But what happened? That report died. Died. Because of what? Code of Conduct Bureau, if we want this country to move on with this fight against corruption, Code of Conduct Bureau must be strengthened, must be empowered, because we have the capacity, the mandate to fight corruption. Nobody is above the law when it comes to Code of Conduct Bureau. We can take on anyone. We can take on anyone as a public officer, up to Mr. President. Yes, but let me tell you, the question you must understand is that there are some people that try to derail the wheel of progress for this country moving forward. It didn't start today. It didn't start yesterday. It's an ongoing. For Code of Conduct Bureau not able to walk, to move, it's because some cabal doesn't want us to work. Because we investigated Akata General, over 211 billion that he stole. We've investigated Emefiele for billions and trillions that he stole. We investigated humanitarian minister for the billions that belongs to Nigeria that was taken away. What happened to those investigations? What happened? These are the questions that we must ask our dear people. I am sick. I am weeping for this country. And I'm praying that Mr. President, the new sheriff in town, must clean the house and set every agency to go out and do their mandate. EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, police, DSS, Come on. Nigeria could be swimming in blessing. God has blessed this country with mineral resources, human capacity, natural resources, but we have been our worst enemy.
Hold that thought for a minute, Honorable. Let me bring Mr. Suraj into this conversation. Mr. Suraj, I remember you asked the question last year about where's the CCT in all of this. You were quoted to have said that the CCT was in comatose and missing in action in the anti-corruption fight. Does this answer your question? If the Federal Commissioner is saying many of the stories we're hearing this year, they actually investigated it, but then it didn't see the light of the day.
No, this actually is a very sad story of some of our anti-corruption agencies. The Code of Conduct Bureau is actually the most potent anti-corruption agency the country established, which is also the only one with a constitutional backing. And this is one of the agencies that would have worked more effectively to prevent corruption rather than just also spending, billions of naira chasing after some of the corruption cases. Because basically, but the also interesting aspect is many of the corrupt practices result in the acquisition of properties and also bank accounts by the public office holders. And these are areas where the Code of Conduct Bureau would have effectively prevented some of the atrocities from taking place. Unfortunately, the leadership of that bureau in the last more than 4 years disappointed Nigeria and also betrayed the trust by not ensuring that most of the high-profile corruption cases gets effective prosecution before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And the Code of Conduct Tribunal is not only just in comatose, it is completely also being mismanaged. And I get to wonder how this current government can afford to convince itself, much less anybody, that is committed to the fight against corruption. If you've changed the leadership of the ICPC, you've changed the leadership of EFCC, you have removed the chairman of Code of Conduct Bureau, and you have not appointed a substantial chairman for Code of Conduct Bureau, and then also reformed the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where it has, lesser number of the required judges to sit over the tribunal for effective, administration of justice via the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And it's the dedicated court. The Code of Conduct Tribunal is also the dedicated court for just the cases that are brought by Code of Conduct Bureau, which means it can easily prosecute suspects with the speed of light expected for speedy dispensation of some of those cases. And we've seen it happen. Unfortunately, like I was saying, the only thing you found the Code of Conduct done recently was the attempt to also subject itself to the political manipulation by taking on the Kano State anti-corruption chairman, who was at a loggerhead with the past office holders in that state, including the current chairman of the ruling party, and used the mechanisms of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal to charge the young man to court, compared to what you have with public office holders at federal levels, including those previous office holders in Kano. And the only thing you can see is going after and also anti-corruption agency and also ZA at the state level. So the blame is not on Code of Conduct Bureau. As at now, before this government, I put the blame on the Code of Conduct Tribunal and Bureau, but as at now, the blame is actually on the leadership of the APC and also government, and the obvious failure to realize its expected action in convincing anybody about the fight against corruption via effective reform of the Code of Conduct Tribunal leadership and appointing the desired, really competent and proactive person to also lead the Code of Conduct Bureau, just like you have seen some changes with with EFCC and also with the ICPC, to start seeing that changes in Code of Conduct Bureau, and also having effective prosecution of cases that are investigated by the Bureau.
Mr. Surratt, let me get the Honorable's response to this, because I'm sure that you'll be interested to react to the issues it's raised, you know, blaming the inability of the CCB and CCT to function optimally on the APC and the leadership in government. How do you respond?
I'm not able to also hear the commissioner, if I'm able to hear him, so that I can also benefit from his response.
Thank you. Let me say this, that I want to appreciate Mr. President, President Tinubu, for this bold step, for hitting the ground running, because the only way we can have an end result, being able to have enough money to do those things that Nigerians are clamoring for, we have to be able to bring all money stolen from Nigerians' purse. And to answer your question, yes, we have some good people in the Code of Conduct Bureau. We have some good people in the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And we also have some bad eggs. I want Mr. President, our president, apart from appointing chairman, whether chairman of EFCC or ICPC or Code of Conduct Bureau, there must also be mechanism to checkmate what is going on in that agency. Because some people will believe that they are Alpha and Omega. When the position is given to you, is to serve. It's a service to humanity. It's a service because you took an oath to defend, to uphold, to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In doing just that, you must do everything humanly possible, everything right that will be written in the book, that when they are judging you, you will be say that, look, this man did a wonderful job. And just to add a little bit to what my friend have just said, yes, I am saying it without fear or favor. I'm not afraid to say it. If we have done our part in the Code of Conduct Bureau, looking at Emefiele, the case against Emefiele in the Code of Conduct Bureau, there's no way he can go scot-free. He violated, he breached the Code of Conduct for public officer. As a public officer, he breached that code. Once you breach the code, you have committed an offense and you must be charged for it. So there's no escape route for him because he knows he breached it. And we did a wonderful investigation. And I'll say it again. At my age, almost 64, I'm not afraid to die because this country belongs to all of us. You know what is painful to me? That a whole Accountant General who's supposed given the responsibility to handle the affair of this great nation stole your money, 211 billion plus of naira. He's walking free, be given, bail, plea bargain, giving, chieftaincy title as a criminal, as somebody has stolen. Why those who stole 10,000, 100,000 are lavishing in jail? It's unacceptable. Are we all not Nigerians? Look, let us not play to the gallery, not play partisan games here. It's about Nigerian people. It's about Nigerian people. I'm a Nigerian. Before anybody, what is going on in our dear nation? Rather, we want to blackmail others. If you want us to solve this problem, let's do the right thing. Let's join hands with Mr. President Buhari. Sorry, Mr. Tinubu. Let's join hands with Senator Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, GCFRO. Let's join hands with him to succeed. If Nigerians succeed, we'll be all happy to have a good Nigeria. Nigeria can be among the leading nations. Where we are today, we blackmail. At the time, we blackmail President Tinubu. He's this, he's that. To the glory of God, he's the president today. Because God made it possible for you to be president. And we must join hands, whether you are PDP, ABGA, Labour, if you don't belong to any political party, it's about Nigeria. It's about we. Let's do the right thing. Let's queue behind Mr. President Tinubu. The end will justify the means. I have so much confidence on him. I do. I'm not trying to praise him because I'm not a praise worshipper. I'm not a praise worshipper. When you are doing well, support the person.
I hear you clearly.
Let's
take a shot.
Yes.
When we return, we'll open the phone lines and also possibly touch on your political ambition in Edo State and also hear from Mr. Suraj in Canada. Stay with us, everyone. Don't go away.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Honorable A.J. Agbonaima is a former member of the House, the Federal House of Representatives, is a federal commissioner with the Code of Conduct Bureau, and an APC governorship aspirant in Edo State. Thank you for staying the course on the program. Also joining me is Larry Suraju, who's an anti-corruption crusader, chairman of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda. He joined us live from Canada. Gentlemen, thank you for staying the course on the program. Mr. Suraj, apologies, I understand you could not hear the other guest. We probably will work on that or send you a link to play back his position on some of the issues we've discussed. But quickly, do we seem to run a system that shield government appointees from answering, these kind of questions while in office? Why does it seem that we only hear about these long after, they are done?
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate. The law that we have in the country does not permit this kind of operation or also management of the affairs and resources of the country. The laws are very clear about the operations, the practice, also the monitoring and the regulation, and at the same time, the investigation and prosecution. But unfortunately, we've really imbibed, a culture of what was originally meant to be opacity, and anywhere where you have the secrecy prevailing in the operation, either of individual, community, state, country, even organization, it is all near inevitable that you would have this level of the complete derogation of basic minimum standard expected of people who are saddled with responsibilities in such situations. So our institutions and management of the institutions and the leadership of the country has consistently eroded the basic tenets of governance and accountability by allowing for people to get away with quite a number of the
Suraj, for the rest of this conversation. But
a law and demanding that information. Can you hear me?
All right, we lost you for a minute. Go ahead now.
Oh, yeah, you can see the Freedom of Information Act that actually mandates the public office to provide information when such is required by people, and the process for that is stipulated. Unfortunately, the Freedom of Information requests are submitted to public office holders, and what you would see is a complete refusal to honor such requests. The former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, I can remember, was involved with the allegation, not even just allegation, where she also confirmed it when she appeared before the National Assembly, that students were fed under the school feeding program during COVID period. This was at a period when schools were closed and students were not in school, and no public gathering was also even allowed under the law. And we wrote the FY to demand information on where are those schools and where are those children and in what states, this was a public statement. There was never answer to that request up until today. And that is one of the cases we're pursuing even against her before the EFCC, because we filed a petition against her and her office on the need to know.
Please hold that thought. Hold that thought for a minute.
Okay.
Let me quickly take Olufemi's call from London. Good morning, Olufemi.
Good morning, Kayode, and good morning to the two gentlemen over there.
Kayode, my name is Nifemi.
Nifemi, I beg your pardon.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just want to express my profound gratitude to the two gentlemen, and most especially the Honorable, for speaking the mind of Nigeria. We are yet to address the problem. When the government is ready, the criminal parading themselves as billionaires of Nigeria needs to be arrested, to be locked up. Majority of our billionaires, let me say about 80%, are born stolen from Nigeria, from the coffer. And they go to, they sponsor a propaganda from this, the mouthpiece of the television that can do their bidding to disparage the government. We have seen that before the election. How they wanted to demonize this president. But God will come to pass. Now, we need to buckle up. We need to unravel everything, immediately. Even the lawyer they're going to be using to defend this criminal under the auspices of human rights, whatever. They are all known, okay? These are paid agents, okay? To ensure that this country will remain perpetually in poverty. Nigerians are suffering. And this big, weak, parading themselves as the millionaire needs to be dealt with.
All right.
That is my submission.
Thank you for your contribution, Olufemi from London. Mr. Suraj, just in a minute, do you think we have, the, what do they call it now, the political will to go after the big fishes in this regard?
Yeah, I think with the action that we're just reviewing, both in terms of the Dangote office invasion, I can liken this to one of the very commendable move on the part of is either that of the EFCC leadership and yet to actually determine what the political leadership would do with that action. And then that would tell us if the political will in time on the side of the president and his other political officers is there or not. But the one from the EFCC leadership, we can say that is the political will that is required to actually not only just shake the system, but to actually change the system and the politics.
All right, Mr. Suraj, we're running out of time. Honorable A.J. Agbonaima, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit of politics. You eyeing the top job in Edo State. Perhaps it's not the first time. But the interesting thing about your party, the APC, is the list is growing by the day. There are about 25, from my last count. And APC leaders are thinking of, bringing that number down to 2. One, why do you think everybody wants to run for the #1 job in your state? And what are your chances in this regard? The former minister, there's a former minister, the former flag bearer of your party is also in the race.
Well, thank you, and let me appreciate all that have brought into the air today, trying to portray the reason why Nigeria can be among the leading nations. But going back to Edo State, of course, I am an Edo son. Looking at my past antecedents, looking at my past records, my report cards, I was SA to former governor, former member board of directors, Nigerian Railway, contributed immensely to the development of this great country in the railway sector. The current MD was my immediate director when I was in Nigerian Railway, and I did a lot to put the railway in a better perspective in this country. Having been a member of the House of Representatives, the good people of Ego Ikpobaoka Federal Constituency found me worthy. They came out en masse and supported me and gave me victory. I went there. I gave it all. Not only moving motion or passing bills or sponsoring bills, I was able to bring to the doorstep of my people constituency project, empowerment, women empowerment, youth empowerment, skill acquisition, ICT center, scholarship. They are on record. And TVC, of course, you have all these records with you. It is nothing that is about speculation. These are for real. Not when you start talking, this is what I'm going to do. What I have done in the past. And my people understand that I am the #1. I am the leading aspirant in Edo State as of today. The reason why many people are clamoring to join the race is because, and I feel their pain too, they want to join among those that will change the narratives from this quagmire that we have found ourselves in Edo State. That Edo State that's supposed to be one of the best states in this country, nothing to write home about. Mr. President, in his magnanimity, gave Edo State $5 billion across the country for palliative because of the fuel subsidy removal, to Kuchi in, to give hope to the people of this country. Among all the state governors, money given to Edo State went to voicemail. Some of the governors, they used the money to develop their own state. So the reason why they want to join, you have so many aspirants, is as a result of the fact that Edo State is backward. If former governor of Edo State, Bende State then, Dr. S.O. Gbemodi of blessed memory, we say that by the grace of God, my son, you will be the governor of this state to take this state to the next level. If the former leader, our father, Esogma Bini Kingdom, before he died a few months ago, will come out to say, I'm going to support you, EJ. You will be the next governor of this state. Many leaders, many traditional rulers, many, men of God, preaching, talking about the well-being of Honorable EJ Agbonyima because of my past records, what I have done in the past. It's not about APC, PDP, Afghan Labour. It's about what you can offer. Do you have the competency, the capability, the tenacity, the empathy to think about the people? It's a service. Governance is a service to people. It's not about you. It's not about winner takes all. That where we have found ourselves today, where Edo State that's supposed to be, proud of what God has given to us, not to write them about. Go ahead, I'll listen to you.
Well, probably find time to bring you back and, focus on the politics in Edo. You agree with me that beyond all the support you've talked about from political leaders, traditional rulers, you would need to get win the primary election and get more support from the electorate themselves. But that's a conversation for another time. Honorable Ijagbona.
Yeah, the electorate, they are with me. The electorate, these are electorate. When you're talking about, these are the electorate.
That is the point I'm making.
These are the electorate that are eager for me and my party leaders, both national leaders, the state leaders, the local government, to the world, even our foreign brothers and sisters that have the willingness to support in moving Edo State forward. Because we need all Edo sons and daughters, home and abroad, to move Edo State forward. I can't do it alone. It is not possible.
We're going to talk about this subsequently. Former member, House of Representatives, Federal Commissioner, Code of Conduct Bureau, APC governorship aspirant in Edo State, Honorable Zowa Johnson Agbonahima. Thank you so much for finding time to talk to us. Mr. Larry Suraj, sorry we switched on you. When you also, decide to run for office, we're going to ask you similar questions. Thank you so much for your contribution. Anti-corruption crusader, chairman of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda, live for us in Canada. Gentlemen.
Let me thank Mr. President for the palliative measure that he brought to Edo State. And today, some of the House of Rep members are sharing theirs, while some are not. They are refused. Some of them are kept in their home. And these are the people looking for governorship. It will not work. Thank you.
Big allegations. Perhaps, someone will be reacting to you subsequently. That's our show today. It continues, however, on X, formerly Twitter. If you use the hashtag this morning, remember to tag me at Nifemi Oguntoye. See you again on Monday on the show. Bye for now.
Have you been thinking of where to acquire knowledge without stress and inconvenience? Then what are you waiting for? The National Open University of Nigeria is the place to be. For up-to-date information about the National Open University's programs and activities, join me, Lulu Bankong, on NOUN Update, showing on this station every Friday at 12:30 p.m.
Experience information and entertainment like never before as TVC Breakfast takes your weekends to a whole new level. Introducing TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, your ultimate source of thrilling sports updates, insightful political analysis, and captivating entertainment news. Stay in the know with what's trending, catch up with the latest in sports, and immerse yourself in the latest buzz from the world of music and movies. Your weekends are no longer just days off, but moments packed with knowledge, excitement, and enjoyment. TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, only on TVC News.
Kolishashla Mandela was born into the Madiba clan on the 18th of July 1918. He got involved in politics in 1942 as he helped to form ANC Youth League. He was married to Evelyn Mays and they had 4 children. Mandela was arrested in a countrywide police swoop on 5th December 1956, which led to the 1956 treason trial. Before the end of the treason trial, he wrote to Prime Minister for vote to include a national convention on a non-racial constitution, and failure to adhere would resort to a national strike. In August, he was arrested and charged for leaving the country without a permit and inciting workers to strike. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. On 9th of October 1963, he was on trial with 10 others for sabotage in what became known as the Revolver trial. On the 11th of June 1964, Mandela and 7 other accused were convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. He was later released from its gates on Sunday, 11th of February 1990, 9 days after the unbanning of the ANC and the PAC. Nelson Mandela never wavered in his devotion to democracy, equality, and learning as he immersed himself in official talks to end white minority rule. In 1991, He was elected ANC president to replace his ailing friend, Oliver Tambo. In 1993, he and President F.W. de Klerk jointly won the Nobel Peace Prize, and on 27 April 1994, he voted for the first time in his life. On 10th May, he was inaugurated as South Africa's first democratically elected president.